We are here for part 3 of the tiles tutorial for your TTRPGs. All these will be printable. In part 1 we made together these 3 tiles. So first we made the basic tile, 2 on 2. Then I showed you how to make the bigger ones from that first model. And then I also showed you how to make walls. In part 2 we made floorboarding together with some texture in it. And for part 3 we are going to make stone textures. I'll be showing you 2 ways to make them, or 2 different styles of stone textures. And then because of a suggestion I will make a quick first method to make the walls too. So let's start. First let's delete all the models we're not going to be using and start with our basic template again. I'm going to duplicate that object again. There you go. So let's start. It's not really going to be really different from what we did with the wooden texture, but hopefully it'll give you some ideas and maybe help you with your own style of tiles if you want to. So we are going to select this object, go into edit mode, and then we're going to highlight face select again. 1, press shift for the second, third and fourth. Then we're going to press Ctrl E, subdivide again. And because we're working with stones, instead of going for a subdivision of 32, let's do about 40. And press enter. There you go. So for the first style I'm going to be using these 2 upper tiles, and then the second style, which is going to be a lot faster, we're going to be using the lower tiles. So let's start with the first one. So in edit mode still, this time like I said last time, we're going to be using vertex select instead of face select. And again we're just going to be drawing lines of a stone pattern. The reason I do this instead of using sculpting is because I like to have my stones being really defined, and with sculpting it's often a bit of trial and error. So for the clear lines I usually use the vertex select and press down mode, and then to add some texture I'll be using sculpt mode again. We're going to go for big or larger tiles, and we're going to be selecting, let's make a puzzle out of it, just the lines of how we want the tiles to add up. So to select different vertices, you'll want to press shift and play around a bit. again, because I want to save time for all of you people watching. Control Z to undo. Because I want to save time for all of you watching. I'm only doing about 2 tiles per texture. I think since we have a lot on our plate today, we might want to keep it limited. You'll notice I don't do these edges, which is just better for the texture. Control Z to undo. And maybe let's just keep it at that. What do you think? We'll just be doing 1 square for this one. So I like my tiles not to be too finished or too polished. So what I'm going to do is select some corners too, and probably even bigger pieces of corners. There you go. And that should do the job. And now we're going to use the move tool. Again, go side view. X or Y doesn't really matter, as long as you can see the points that you selected in orange, and then press down. There you go. Let's look in object mode, so press tab, and here we have the selection of tiles. They look pretty square right now, but we're going to be solving that problem in sculpt mode. But first let's go back to edit mode. Let's select all the vertices here, there you go. Again, press Ctrl E, subdivide, and yeah, let's do it a lot if your computer can take it, but you can do it a little bit less too if not. But let's do it a lot. There you go. I'm happy with that. Press tab again, and we're going to go into sculpt mode. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure that the surface of your tiles aren't too perfect. You want some rough edges on it. So what we're going to do is probably no clay thumb, but let's just use the draw feature. 10 pixels should be fine. You could make it a bit bigger too, but I think now 10 is good. But let's up the strength to 2. There you go. And now just some spaces or some tiles undone, and we're going to add draw sharp 2. Again, here I picked 10 pixels and strength of 2. And just freehand it. There you go. So now we have one tiny problem which will be quickly solved, is if you have these points sticking out, you just use the smooth function, and we're going to go ahead, go in top view, and just click on them. There you go. Just smooth those pointy edges out. Of course, you could, instead of keep clicking on it, you could just go over them. Might go a little faster, it depends on the result that you want. Now let's watch this from side view. And yeah, it looks a lot better. So now one thing that I don't really like either is that we have these squares here. So maybe let's just use the smooth brush again on a strength of 0.7 to go around it. And freehand it. And you can keep some edges in it if you want to. Just think, in my style of tiles, that I like to have it look a bit more natural. And again, just like in part 2, when I explained printing for the wooden boards, normally this texture should be fine depending on your printer. And if it wouldn't, I would suggest just printing the tiles sideways. And you'll get a nice and decent detailed result of what you've made. This is all very good and nice practice to get better at sculpting too, and get used to all the tools that sculpting has to offer. And there, we're done with our first texture of tiles. You could use the same method to make cobblestones. It'll take a little bit more work, but hey, it's always worth it. It's your vision, it's your design. I just used this one because it went a little bit faster for the tutorial. Now let's head here for our second texture. So we're going to be going back to edit mode first and press or select all the vertices here. Again, the reason why I'm not selecting all is because I want to limit the amount of vertices that are on the sides or under it, you call it. And again, we're going to press Ctrl E after selecting these vertices, subdivide, and we're going to hide that. There you go. And now we're going to be going to sculpt mode right away. So what happens here is maybe you just want your terrain to be one big slab of concrete, or you're just okay with these tiles being the actual tiles in your TTRPG. And then we could just make sure to roughen up everything a little bit. So one way to do it is definitely go to the draw sharp tool, and again 10 pixels should be okay now, and the strength of 2 is great. And we're just going to be adding some bursts, some cracks. But also you could make it look a little rougher, and then for that I would use a bigger radius, so maybe 25. Let's see, yeah, okay, great. And strength should be fine. And just go around like this. Let's up that to 15, just to get in between. And there you go. So we have two different textures done. Again, it's a matter of style, it's a matter of what you're expecting, it's a matter of your vision. But I hope the things I explained to you will help you in creating your own vision. I've had some love from the Reddit community, which I'm terribly thankful for. So let's have a shout out to Redtamborine, who also made the suggestion or asked to show me a first way of how I texture the walls of these tiles. Big D Gangster Reborn, not saying the whole name for obvious reasons, and then one funny username, really appreciated the love. Again, we're going to object mode and we're going to be using our walled tiles. I'm going to right click and duplicate object, because it's always a good thing to do, and this way you always keep a copy of your base objects. So now it's really not that different, except for one minor detail on how I work on walls. Instead of using the move function, we're going to be using the scaling function. We're going to edit mode. So we're going to be using rather large tiles. So I'm going to press Control R, yeah, and then maybe subdivide it in two because it's a low wall. If it were higher walls and I'm using small bricks, then I'd be subdividing it a lot more. There you go. And now doing the same for the vertical vertices, Control R. So what happens with the yellow line if you're not used to it is if you're going more to the horizontal side, you're going to get the yellow line on the horizontal axis, and if you want it on the vertical axis, you just go a bit up, and then you have this. So I made sure I have 3 rows of bricks that go up vertically. Horizontally, you'll want to double that up. So for example, if you have about 4 bricks per horizontal line, you want to subdivide it. Oops, escape, so Control E, no, Control R, press 3, we have 4 bricks, even if we're just going to measure for 2 bricks per piece, and press enter. It'll be obvious later on why we're doing it like that. Again, Control R for the other face, press 3, and then click once and click a second time. What we have here now is our walls have been subdivided, but more manually. Now again, to make sure we have the definition like we explained in part 1, we're going to be pressing Control R, go to the side and just select 2, place them, and then use the scaling tool like this. There you go, and do the same for all the others. Control R, scaling tool, place them. There you go. Control R, go to the side, press 2, place them. Use the scaling tool again. Perfect, and then do the same here. Control R, press 2, place them, scaling tool, Control R, up 2, there you go. Just to show you a decent result, we're going to be doing the total of that wall. Press 2, place, the reason I'm not subdividing on these walls is because there was already some kind of subdivision there, and I didn't want it to affect or have too many vertices, which will make it hard to work on it. So I'm subdividing it a little more manually. Almost there. There you go. And if you look at it from the other side, we have the same pattern ready, which will explain why we use the scaling tool to save time. So now, what we are going to be doing is first select all our centered horizontal lines. Press Shift, select the other ones. And you can do it here too, but let's keep it at that. And now do the same here. But maybe I'm just doing the bottom ones first. There you go. So maybe it wasn't such a good idea to select the whole line, because we want some type of brick pattern. So what we're going to do is use about 2 squares per pattern. Let's zoom in a little. There you go. Hop. Up. Looks fine. And now we're just going for the others. We're going to go in the middle of the other pattern. And then again. Go here. Perfect. The only thing is I should deselect the ones here, because that's for the middle pattern. And now we're just going to be going on the other side, and we'll do the same thing. And you can work symmetrical, but you can definitely work asymmetrical too, meaning that it really doesn't matter if it has the same pattern like it did on the other side, unless you're bothered by it. And again, just select everything with Shift that you find the need to. And then go to the middle here, here, yeah, looks fine. So the reason we have not a lot of stones is because it's a low wall, but also because we're making big stones today. It helps for the video too, to save some time. And now we're just going to go on the y-axis side view, and instead of the move function, because if we use move, you see what's the result. Ctrl Z to undo. But if we use scaling and we change it like this, Don't go too deep. We have this. Press tab, and there you go. You have a nice stone pattern. Looking pretty good. Or not bad at least. And again, you can texture them if you want. So we're going to be pressing face select and then just select all the top surfaces of our stones. And you can do that individually, just like I do here, by pressing Shift. That's fine. But what you can also do to save time, this is how, a lot easier. So I'm going to press Shift to select this one, and I want to be able to select all the faces until here. So I'm going to press Ctrl Shift and then select, and then it does so. Then again, just Shift for this one, Ctrl Shift, Shift, Ctrl Shift, Shift. And let's do the same for this, because it goes a lot faster like this. So you just switch from selecting with Shift to selecting with Ctrl Shift. There you go. Now we can just subdivide it. It doesn't really matter how much. The more you do it, the more detailed your sculpting is going to be for the walls. Ctrl E, subdivide, and we're going for 30. Let's do it a little bit more. Let's double that up, and that should be enough. Now let's just press tab, go to edit mode. Again, these lines don't really make out, they'll be a little bit more detailed here, the sculpting, but since you're going to be printing, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. For gaming, you will want to reduce those vertices. So let's say now in sculpt mode we want to add some more layers. You can use inflate, and just add a little texture. You can play around with the strength. Remember, there's no need for happy accidents here. If you're not happy with the texture like it is, you just press Ctrl Z and then play around with the radius, play around with the strength. But I like this texture that we're having now. So I'm going to be using it. Let's move that up a bit. And again, just freehanded, you can always press Ctrl Z if you're not okay with the result. Look at that. Play around with it. See what suits you, what results that you like. and one more row and we'll be done for this video. Last 2 stones and we'll be done. There you go. I hope you liked the tutorial. I hope it helped you out in basic methods of using Blender for your TTRPG tiles. And mostly I hope it helps you on the way for creating your own vision, not just the things I'm showing you. Yeah, have a nice day. Bye.